In this chapter, we want to deal with a very important position that we need in 4 of the 5 ballroom dances, the promenade position. The promenade position was, without doubt, Bill Irwin's favorite position. Actually, it was probably a sure time where I once disappointed the man. After my retirement, I had a lesson with him and I did a promenade which was apparently not up to his personal liking. And he looked at me with a sad face and said, "Oliver, your days are over." My personal feeling was I was so depressed, and then he said, "I will explain it the last time to you and remember it for the rest of your life." So I'm going to give you now the explanation that Mr. Irwin gave to me. A promenade position is a position where you produce a big effect by practically doing nothing. We create a promenade position now on the spot, and I will explain why William and Alessandra will do it. Stand in a normal position. They will press the toes into the floor in order to rise. At the same time, William turns his back towards Alessandra, and he turns and he turns and he turns. Now you see, the example is, thank you, can you do it again? Because now I will give you an example. Try to have the feeling that you take your head out of a chimney without your ears getting dirty. It goes up and turns. Thank you. Another thing is, Mrs. Irwin never said, "I'm turning my head to promenade." She used to say, "I'm turning my face." The head, as being the most heavy part of the body, would affect the rest of the body's balance. So if you watch that again, you will see Alessandra turning her face and not her head. That's beautiful. And if we do one last time, remember a saying from Bill, and you will see when they do it. Okay. Used to say in a promenade, "I stand to grow and not to go." That's beautiful. Now from here, we have to think how we leave the promenade position. As we said before in another chapter, we create movement by creating static energy that we want to release. Static energy we create by compressing our body weight to the floor. So can you please do that step, and probably with the back to the camera so everybody can see the step width. Now watch. And William goes out of the promenade, into the promenade. Now when he goes out of the promenade, the step width is right under his hip. So he can create, through the lowering action, the necessary static energy. Thank you. So if I would do it wrong now, which I'm pretty good at, I would go out and the step would pass the rest of my body line. From here, I wouldn't be able to create static energy. Now the same would happen if I would sway into my next movement. Now, part of my body weight would have passed my standing leg. A complete compression to create static energy would absolutely be impossible. So therefore, the step width is very important. You land there with your collarbone on your big toe. Can you please do that one more time? The collarbone, which provides the balance, is on the big toe. Now, so we create the correct lowering action. Thank you. The next important part is, if I do my first step from promenade position, which is my right foot forward. Now from here, the important part is that my right hip reaches my right foot before my left foot reaches my right foot. Say that again. From the position, first my right hip reaches the right foot, before my left foot reaches my right foot. If I would do that the other way around, my hip would stand still and I would be in a terrible position for moving. Now, promenade positions, as we did it now, was being done through a turn to the right. Now that applies to all movements where I can go from a natural movement to promenade position. Let's say an open impetus, an overturn turning lock. But what happens if I turn to the left? If I turn to the left, let's say from an open telemark, you will realize that from an open telemark, my top does not turn at all, but my foot does, to reach a promenade position. If I would turn my top, I would turn away from the lady. So remember, turning to the right means my torso turns more than my feet. Promenade to the left means my feet are turning more than my torso. It's a very important basic rule. Another little thing is, when you go out from promenade, the man has a little turn from his center towards his right hand. That allows the lady to have more space. So when he comes from promenade and he lowers, the center would turn slightly to the right and the lady has more space. As you will probably see when these two move from promenade to a hover côté. It's a promenade, stand to grow and not to go. And during the lowering action, there's a slight rotation and the lady has space. Thank you. Now the promenade position apparently is a slightly V-shaped position in the hips in order to be able to both move forward at the same time. What if we both would move in that position backward? That position would be called the Fallaway. Now the Fallaway is a position and not a variation. We use the Fallaway on many, many occasions. We have a natural Fallaway, we have a Fallaway whisk, or we do have the Fallaway reverse, normally finished with a slip pivot. Now, if we think about the Fallaway reverse, this step is danced on a slight curve to the left. So I would do a forward action. Now, according to Bill, the main rotation to be able to finish in Fallaway position would be between 1 and 2. Would be 1 second step. Here we would have reached the Fallaway position. We have the left foot from here and the slip pivot. So, once again, on a curve, we have the curve 1, 2, 3, 4 as a couple. That's what it looks like. A Fallaway with a slip pivot. Here we do have the Fallaway and the slip pivot. Good. Of course, what we could do also is another step which is called the natural Fallaway, could come from promenade and would go into Fallaway position here. But the same thing applies. It's a turn, in this case, to the right, so my top is turning more than my feet. So we reach the beautiful Fallaway position. Another thing to talk about is the Fallaway whisk. Now let's look at the Fallaway whisk from promenade, the way it used to be danced years and years ago. It was a position, you watch William and Alessandra, which started in promenade position, kept the promenade, and by turning, moving from forward to backward, straight from promenade into the Fallaway, which is now, and a whisk at the end. Beautiful entry to, for instance, continuous pivots. This version, unfortunately, has gone long ago, and now the modern type of Fallaway whisk is actually no Fallaway whisk at all. It's a pivot from promenade position, leading to one step of a Fallaway into a back whisk. Now watch this as a modern version. It's a pivot from promenade, which we see here. Promenade position. Now we go into a pivot, now a Fallaway and a back whisk. That looks more open, more progressive, more dynamic. It's still called the Fallaway whisk, but in actual fact, you see it's a pivot from promenade, a Fallaway and a back whisk.